Hey guys, it's 2023. It's Groundhog Day. It's already February. I haven't recorded anything in quite a while, so good to see you. I think it's about time I finally talk a little bit more about ego and my thoughts there. I didn't write an outline for this, so we're just gonna go off the cuff. But I feel compelled, really compelled. So in my opinion, there's two branches of ego. So it's true ego and then false ego. And I guess, that could be said different ways. I think I've already stated I haven't really delved into the whole Jungian side of how this all plays out and what Jung thought of all this stuff. And, maybe psychology has all this stuff all well laid out and I'm just not aware of it. But in my experience, this is, there's two sides to this. So, and I've actually caught some shit on posts where I've said, things about like the ego, how modernity is like an ego trap, and well, that's not exactly the case. You have to actually specify the fact that you're talking about false ego, not true ego, right? True ego is simply, it is your self-preservation mechanism. It's an instinct. It is something that you can't get rid of. It is because we're self-aware, it's part of our awareness, it's my need to keep myself alive. Just like if you get in an accident and, a really traumatic accident and your brain takes over and shuts off different pain receptors and things like that, like that all just happens, right? Like you don't control it, right? And, we have instincts, right? Like we don't, so these things also like cross, right? So your true ego will play into your false ego, right? So like when it's around food and survival and things like that, we get hangry, right? We get hungry and angry. We get into a mood because we're hungry, and or like if we're sharing food with someone and we want that bigger half, like I think that part of that just comes from that like survival instinct, but it becomes calcified with all this other stuff that societally happens. And so that's true ego. True ego is instinct. It's something that you can't get rid of with psychedelics or anything else. In my opinion, that's how it works. It's just your self-preservation mechanism. And to the extent of what like Alan Watts says about ego, you're going to subsist, you're going to exist unless you take it into your own hands or something else happens, fatefully to take you off of the planet. You're going to survive, right? You're going to keep subsisting, you're going to keep existing. You will exist. You'll go to sleep tonight, you'll wake up tomorrow. It's always happening, but until it's not happening, it's happening. And so I think that's kind of where Alan Watts just says, like, if I am a three-dimensionally constrained part of the universe, like, that ego doesn't mean anything, right? But I try to also kind of pull this down into like the human being and awareness, right, of this reality. So to branch off into the false ego side of things. So, this reoccurring feeling I've been coming to, and I kind of, I called it the Truman Paradox, where it's like you feel like you're living a lie. Because things just don't jive with your being. You're seeing a lot of things play out that don't make sense, and you feel like you're living a lie. Like for me, like speaking from experience, say I've lived my life wanting to be perceived a certain way, right? Always like having this idea of the way that I wanted to look outwardly to other people and things like that, and making that a priority, And all of these things stem from how I grew up and what I felt was important, and the shell that I created for myself based on certain traumas that I experienced when I was really young. And I feel like I've lived a lot of my young life in a shell, like kind of just being very reserved, very observing, but very reserved and held back and restrained, and just like, I still played and I did stuff like that, but I was very self-conscious about like the way I looked outwardly. And so, and then like fast forward into like high school and having different priorities, and then even in junior high, I switched to junior highs in ninth grade, and I remember like, yeah, I wear glasses and I'm a skater kid, I look like a dork, but I remember switching schools and being like, well, this is a new opportunity for me to branch out and not target any group or anything, but just to be open to meeting people and not being weird and like reserved and like insecure and shit a little bit. So I consciously made that effort to branch out and meet different people and find my tribe, right? And I think I kind of circle back to a lot of these instinctive things and kind of like the way hunters and gatherers would operate, right? Like our diet should probably be way closer to what a hunter and gatherer would eat. We do things that, like we're always looking for our tribe. Why do I have this font on my shirt? Why do I put stickers on the back of my car? Or, we're trying to relate to one another. We're trying to find our tribe all the time. And that's just like, it's almost an instinct too, right? But so, like I said, fast forward into like getting into high school and then getting caught up with other people's priorities, things that didn't jive with me necessarily or the way I wanted to live my life, but branching into, and then it's kind of funny how it plays out. Like, you go through DARE and all these like alcohol and drug programs in school, and they tell you how things are going to be, and then those things happen, but like because you care about people and like you have friends and you care about the way that you look, you don't realize at the time that you're falling for all that same stuff that you were already talked about, right? And at least I did, and I feel like other people probably do too. But your friends peer pressure you into stuff, and it's not like it's some weird guy. It's like your close friend that's like, hey man, you really should do this, and you're like, all right, like, okay, I don't really want to, or or I do, and I'll try it, and then I'm just riddled with anxiety for the rest of the period of time of whatever's going on. So, and then getting into drinking and alcohol and all that stuff, and just still being really worried about how I was perceived outwardly, and then eventually coming to terms with the fact that like it doesn't really matter, it's all of this. I mean, I'm gonna be who I'm gonna be, and it's my intention and choice of how I want to live that matters, right? It's not everyone's perception of me. I don't have to write my book through everyone else's eyeballs, and enough things happen and enough time passes, and I think everybody kind of realizes and starts to like, starts to let go of different scenarios and people, and we need to forgive ourselves first. We need to learn to love ourselves and accept ourselves the way we are, because there's really nothing we have to live with ourselves, right? And then you kind of have to start branching out and doing that with other people, other situations and things like that. Maybe not always forgiving it, but I mean, you might as well. Otherwise, you're just carrying that weight. And so, in my opinion, false ego really, it will take anything you hold sacred and it will make it feel like disingenuous, right? Like it will make it feel like it's not worthwhile, There's like this weird modern cultural thing that's like, it makes being religious, hokey, right? And like, I mean, there's so many different avenues that can go down, right? But your core beliefs and feelings belong to you, and it doesn't matter what society thinks, right? I mean, if, say, okay, I'll go on a tangent here, but if Nikola Tesla was worried about what the world thought about his things, I mean, he was literally told that his motor, his AC current motor, would not work, right? He was told that it was impossible, like literally, and he's already like in his head going like, no, this definitely can happen, right? If he had listened to those people, you know, we wouldn't have, or we would have been stalled on a lot of the technology we have today, right? And so it's just that I feel that we have to circumvent that like ego trap of caring. You know, it's not that we don't care, right? And that's kind of the other thing, like the whole don't give a fuck mindset. That's like it's a projection, and it's a self-protection, but it's like the false ego side of self-protection, right? You do care, but you don't really want to outwardly, you know, show that, or you don't want to bound your cares and assess them. So you just put up that like blockade of don't care, right? Don't care. And I think these are all like little traps. They're all little stumbling blocks of how this comes out. So see, this is where I need the outline, because yeah, I'm kind of lost in where I was going with false ego. But I mean, yeah, that's really what it comes down to. It's like false ego will make you feel like your relationships are not worthwhile. It will make you feel like your religion is not worthwhile, your spirituality is not worthwhile, and that you're always seeking something outside of yourself to be comfortable. It'll have you seeking comfort. You know, that thing over there is going to make me feel better. I got to go do that right now. And then as soon as you get it and you have that like feeling of like, I have that, then there's that pit is never filled, right? There's always this pit that's empty and it's perpetual. And so this is just kind of what I've come to with the whole false ego thing. It's until you like stand up and go, wow, I was under the sway of that. And like advertising is all trying to just, you know, play into that hardcore. It's trying to and I, you know, who knows if it was intentional, but I mean, there's been tons of research done about how to better advertise to people, you know, how to catch people's attention and how to keep their attention and all these things, you know. I mean, that's probably some of the most well-studied, you know, I don't want to say biology, I guess, but you know, human traits that there is you know, how to better capture you and wring you out of your money and then let you go, but keep you on the hook and keep you coming back, you know. And so that's it. I don't really know what else to say. So 2023 has been interesting so far. I feel like I'm setting up my dominoes. I'm setting up all my dominoes, and I'm, you know, I'm kind of an idealistic person, so like it's hard for me to like knock the dominoes down. That's why it's like February and I'm just posting my first video, but I just hadn't felt compelled to do it yet. So, and I've just been kind of in the sway of things and just letting things happen, and you know, letting things you know, had a vacation early in January or mid-January, had to go out to Arizona for work and stuff like that. So just, yeah, had a lot of things going on and didn't really feel totally compelled to do this. But, you know, that's no offense to anyone. It's just me trying to get my head straight on where I'm at with it. You can hear some rustling in the background. That's my bearded dragon, Lizzie. I'll pick her up and show her to you. Lizzie. Oh, there. She's shedding pretty gnarly right now, so she's got this like loose skin all over her. Lizzie. But yeah, so we rehomed her. She's like 3 years old, and she's a beaut though, man. She's looks like she ate a whole bag of Cheetos and didn't wash her hands, you know. So this is the only pet we have, and she's a sweetheart. She's super friendly, and we were really happy to be able to give her a home. So I've had dogs and cats and turtles and other bearded dragons in the past, but happy to not have any of the furry ones anymore right now, just so that it makes going on vacation and things a lot easier when you don't have to like find someone to watch all your dogs or cats or whatever. So just sticking with the reptile for the moment. So, well, sorry for that tangent, but yeah, that's where I'm at with my thoughts on ego. If I can think of anything else, I'll come back at you. And sorry about the view. I just was trying to get this done real fast, so I'm just like recording with the front of my iPad, the forward-facing camera, and it has this really tight view, and so yeah, it's my best look there. So you got to see all my chins and all that. So, well, thanks for joining me, and yeah, if you have any comments, leave them down below. I did start a new YouTube channel. I have not posted any videos there. It is mountain bike related. It's called Manic Trail Banter, and I have lots of fun ideas that I want to do on that channel. I already have some videos recorded. I just got to get the editing down and start posting stuff. So lots of fun stuff there for 2023. I mean, that's where a lot of my energy is going to go. So, but I mean, if y'all have any questions, please, yeah, leave them below, and I'll chat with you later. Peace.